So you want to understand the latest on Russia sanctions. It's
Yeah.
it's a bit of a puzzle, right?
It is.
We've got shifting policies and global oil markets and
Mhm.
a whole lot at stake.
Right.
Get ready for some aha moments as we unpack this.
All right, I'm ready.
U.S.-Russia relations, um,
Good.
they seem to be thawing a bit,
Mm.
which is leading to all these discussions about potentially lifting the sanctions that were imposed after the Ukraine invasion.
Makes sense.
It's
Yeah,
it's a very interesting situation.
absolutely.
And for today's deep dive, we're going to be looking at a couple main sources.
Okay, sounds good.
So first, we've got some excerpts from Trump's statement on the potential lifting of Russia sanctions.
All right.
And then we'll also be looking at the January sanctions that were imposed by the Biden administration and the UK.
Okay, good deal.
So just to set the stage,
Yeah.
Trump said on February 25th that sanctions will be lifted
Okay.
at some point.
Mm.
But he said no agreements are in place yet.
All right. So, like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, I mean, what does that even mean? What's he talking about?
Right.
I mean, how significant of a change is this? Because from what I understand,
Mm-hmm.
for months,
Mm-hmm.
the talk was about potentially increasing sanctions.
Yeah, that's right.
If Russia didn't come to the table and negotiate.
Absolutely. And this statement really suggests a willingness to kind of
Yeah.
ease up on those sanctions,
Yeah.
maybe as part of like a
Right.
broader, attempt at diplomacy.
That's part of some deal.
Exactly.
So Trump also mentioned renewed contact between the U.S. and Russia.
Mm.
And I think even face-to-face discussions.
Oh, wow.
What does that even mean practically?
Well,
Like, what steps would need to happen to actually see some tangible change come out of this?
yeah, I think reopening embassies would be a really big
Okay.
first step.
So reopen the embassies? Yeah.
Because
yeah.
that would signal this return to
Yeah.
normal diplomacy, Like we can have communication now and
Yeah.
start talking about negotiating things.
Yeah.
But it's definitely risky for both sides,
Yeah.
For the US, it's like,
It seems like.
it could seem like we're
Yeah?
legitimizing this regime that
Yeah.
everyone's saying is committing all these war crimes. And
Right.
then for Russia, it's a chance for them to not be so isolated.
To come in from the cold a little bit.
Right.
But they're probably going to have to make some concessions.
Exactly. They're not going to get everything they want.
Right.
So
So it's a very delicate balancing act here.
it really is.
Because on one hand,
Mm-hmm.
you've got those January sanctions that were meant to
Yeah.
increase pressure on Russia.
Uh-huh.
But on the other hand,
Yeah.
you've got all this talk about
Yeah.
potentially easing sanctions as part of a diplomatic push.
Right.
So how do those two approaches
Yeah.
even come together?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
It's like, everyone's saying the Trump administration is considering these two
They're tough.
totally different paths forward.
So what are those paths?
So one is to ease up on sanctions
Okay.
on Russian oil producers.
Okay.
And that would basically sweeten the deal.
Yeah.
To try and get a peace agreement.
Right.
The other path is to double down and expand sanctions
And that's just
to hurt them more.
Yeah, just put as much pressure on Moscow as possible.
Okay, so both of those options
Yeah.
seem to come with a lot of ifs, ands, and buts.
Oh yeah, tons of those.
What do you think some of the potential consequences
Yeah.
of easing the sanctions might be?
Like good and bad.
Yeah, both.
Okay, so easing sanctions
Mm-hmm.
could make it seem like we're rewarding Russia for what they're doing,
Yeah.
which could make them do even more.
Embolden them.
Yeah, but it also could give them like
Oh.
an incentive to come to the table
Yeah.
and like,
To be reasonable.
yeah, try to get a
To
peaceful.
work something out. Solution. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
It's a gamble
It is a huge gamble.
with a lot of potential outcomes
Too many.
that are difficult to predict.
Yeah, it's like, how do we know?
We don't.
We don't.
What about expanding sanctions?
Okay, so expanding
Like, what would that even look like?
Well, I think it could involve targeting more parts of the Russian economy, like
Yeah.
finance or technology.
Mhm.
And the goal there would be to really cause some pain, like economic pain,
Economic pain.
and make them rethink what they're doing.
Yeah,
But this approach has risks too.
of course.
It could make things even more tense.
Yeah.
And it could have all these unintended consequences for the global economy.
Right, because
Where are they?
everything's so interconnected now.
Yeah, you can't just do something over there
So you can't just.
and expect it not to affect us.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
we're all tied together
It is.
in this global economy.
Yeah. What should we be paying attention to?
Okay, so I would say just watch how these sanctions, or like even the potential lifting of them,
Yeah.
impact other countries?
Wait, how so?
Well, will we see ripple effects in Europe,
Okay.
in Asia? Because some countries depend a lot on Russia
For oil and gas.
for oil and gas, yeah.
So their reaction to all this could be really significant.
Huge. Yeah.
Geopolitically, economically.
Absolutely.
I mean, you could have a lot of consequences.
Yeah, a lot of consequences.
That's definitely something to watch closely.
For sure.
It's a very interesting situation.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I don't think it's going to be resolved anytime soon.
Oh, definitely not.
So we'll just have to keep following and see what happens.
Yeah.
And keep diving deep into it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me for this deep dive
You got it.
into Russia sanctions.
Anytime.
Until next time.